If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Holographist coach, Christine McIver.
That's right. It is me. Welcome, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you if you are listening live. I am thrilled that you are here. If you are listening in the replay, thank you for choosing to listen in. We have got a show planned for you tonight. It's, there's been some interesting creations in the last short while. And, this is what my radio show showed me that would be a contribution to you and to me. So I'm so happy that you're here tonight. It is July the 1st, 2020. If you didn't know, I'm a Canadian, and today is our very special day, Canada Day. Canada Day is the day that we really celebrate coming together as a country, and oh, what a year we have had to do that, not just us. All countries around the world. Some are doing them more interestingly than others, but today is our big celebration day. So happy Canada Day to all of my fellow Canadians out there. And if you live abroad and you're Canadian, well, it's still Canada Day for you. So what are we talking about tonight, Christine? Well, tonight we are talking about how to begin again. Whether you're beginning again in your life, in your business, or just your journey. What is going on in your world that you would like to hit the reset button? Is there anything in your life that you're looking at that you've been really grappling with, that you've really been in angst about, some level of dissatisfaction, some area where you feel like, this is not what I wanted, this is not what I desire, and you'd like to hit the reset button and begin again? Well, here's the short story. You can. But how? That's the key, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I am so glad that you're here. We're going to be deep diving into this. I would love to take your questions. If you're listening after the fact, please feel free to send me an email, Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. I absolutely love hearing from the listeners. It's actually one of the greatest joys if you know of a radio show host or a podcaster. They love it. It's actually gold. So send an email along, ask your questions, your comments, suggestions. They are all gratefully received. So I have been doing radio now for, I think I started February of 2011, I want to say. And it's been a long, long time. So I am in my 10th year of doing radio. It's so cool. And to think back over all of those shows that I've ever done, each show has its own special energy and it has its own special contribution in my world and in my listeners' world. And it's such a fun thing to be able to have this opportunity to speak what is true for you, to speak what you know, and to contribute to the world. So if you're someone that has a voice, that you have messages that won't be quiet in your head, maybe this is something that would also be a contribution to you. And if that's true, I just want to give a little bit of a plug here and say what we create as a team here on the Inspired Choices Network is so much ease and so much fun for a host. And what we're doing here to create the awareness of the host creations is second to none. And it's a real, as many people have said, it's a plug and play. Like, you just need to come in and say yes, and we will have your back and take care of your creation and guide you every step of the way. If that's something that intrigues you, if you've just got some questions about it, send me an email. I'd love to share more with you and answer your questions. Now is the time in the world to be looking to create both virtually and physically if you're able. The physical part has been taken away for the last few months. I know that it's starting to open up, and the virtual world is not going away anytime soon. So perhaps having a conversation might tweak something for you in your world. All right, let's get into tonight's show, and let's dive into this deeply. So how to begin again in your life, in your business, on your journey. Life can be a journey of joy, of exploration, of challenges, and certainly of intensity. Do you ever feel lost and not knowing how you got to this place in your life and in your business? How to Begin Again is a guide to support you wherever you are in your journey in life or in business. Knowing how to begin again starts, and this is the number one thing, it starts with acknowledging where you are right now with what you have created, and then looking at what you desire to create. And from here, from that place of acknowledgement, is where your journey can begin again. That's where it actually begins. So that's the first thing that I know that this is how we begin again, is we acknowledge what is not working for us, what is not what we desired it to be. You know, it's kind of like you set out on a path and maybe your hip's out, right? And you're walking down the path, but your hip's out, and your hip has you lean a little bit to the left. You're just leaning to the left, and you're leaning a little bit to the left, a half an inch to the left as you pace forward. You are going to end up in a different place than where you anticipated yourself to be had you been walking, quote unquote, straight. Now, there's no wrong journeys. Let's just be really, really clear about this. There's no wrong journeys at all. But if we find ourselves in a place in our lives, our businesses, anywhere in our journey, at this time and space in our bodies that we're not happy about, we've got to be willing to acknowledge it. A lot of people, hands up, how many have done this? A lot of people will just ignore the signs of what's not working. Ignore the signs. They will just continue along, keep going forward, and they will get to their end of their life, and they will be filled with regret. Filled with regret, so much so that it obviously will impact everything in their life and actually can have them create illness in their body and have them leave their body, because regret is an energy of deep, deep sadness, and it can actually have shame connected to it as well. Regret is one of those energies that many, many people do not want to talk about. They do not want to acknowledge, because it can be so intense and so incredibly heavy. So the word regret in the online etymology is to look back with distress and sorrowful longing, to grieve for on remembering. That's pretty intense, right? To grieve for on remembering. What did you come here? What did you come here to create in your life, to experience, to savor, to share, to teach, to really enjoy? To enjoy, I know it's spelled E-N, joy, but what it really is, to enjoy something, is to go within you and find the joy. And if you are living with regret, the deep, deep sadness of regret, how does the joy come through? How does the joy actually get your attention? If you're listening to this call I really want to invite you into being an explorer in your own world right now. If you were called to this show, to this podcast, I really want to invite you into this. Your creations have brought you here so you can get there, wherever the there is. Now, here's what we always know is that the universe is always listening, right? The universe is always listening. And whatever your desires are, they've already, you don't even have to speak them. When they are on your heart, they are already beginning to be created, to come together. All of the mechanisms in the universe are being, it's kind of like a machine. You can hear them going click, 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 click. Everything's starting to come into connection to fulfill your desires. Here's the challenge, my friend. When you have regret in your heart, in your being, when it is permeating through every cell of your body, and you're trying to ignore it, FYI, whatever you try to ignore gets louder. It's kind of like a child, okay? Your desires are your babies, and they will get louder. And as they get louder and you look at them through the lens of regret, your regret will become even larger. The energy of your regret will suffocate your desires and put into your mind false thoughts and beliefs that it's not possible, or it's too late, or, you screwed it up, you only had one chance, all that bullshit. That is total bullshit. It does not matter one bit where you are in your life when you choose to begin again. If you really fan the flames of regret, they will continue to get larger, and those desires will stay way back, hidden in the recesses of your mind. But if you can right now, if you can acknowledge where you have disappointment, regret, any of those thoughts that are going through your mind around your desires, or where you thought you would be in your life, or what you thought you would have created by this point in your life, wherever that is, whether you are 15, whether you are 50, or whether you are 90. If you have anything there that is trying to get in the way, and you can just take a step back, a virtual step back in your mind and go, oh, there they are. There's regret, there's sadness, there's disappointment, there's self-judgment, right? If you've got a measuring stick up to your world, up to your life, up to your business, that measuring stick will find where you've not measured up in your mind. Trust me, you can find it. But if you can acknowledge you're doing it, that's when you can take a breath. Take a breath and go, wow, look at all of the places and spaces where I have regret. And then ask yourself this question. What if I allowed the regret to take a vacation and I started to dream again of my desires? What if I trusted in the universe to not only turn those wheels again towards my desires, but I started to believe that something else was possible? What if I allowed myself the opportunity to hit the reset button without any tentacles of judgment attached? I wonder what I could actually create. And you know what happens a lot of the times, my friends? So I've had these conversations with clients. I've had these conversations with friends. Oftentimes, the path that you were on wasn't exactly the path where you were going to create the greatest creation. So where you are now, all of the steps that you took in your life, in your business, in your relationships, all of those steps that you took have led you to an even sweeter, more robust opportunity than had you not had those experiences, had you not chosen those paths. You are, by sure, a much more educated person about who you are today than you were yesterday if you had any of this going on. My friends, the great news is it really is much easier than you could imagine to hit the reset button to learn how to begin again. This is just the first step. We're going to go for our break. When we get back, I'm going to dive more into what the next steps are about hitting the reset, how to really step forward into your life. But while we're on break, I want to invite you into allowing any of those old energies that are not serving you, regret, sadness. I want to invite you to bring them forward in front of you. You could even write them down, but to have a beautiful detachment from them. Observe them as opposed to being deeply in there. And if you're deeply in there with them, it's okay. It's okay. But the more that you can begin to step back and look at them and go, oh, isn't that interesting? Look at that. This is where you're going to be able to start to shift them really, really quickly. But remember, acknowledgement is number one key, first and foremost. All right, we're going to go for our break. You are listening to Inspired Choices radio show with myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network. Stay tuned, my friends. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking around. We are moving forward with tonight's show, How to Begin Again, Life, Business Journey, whatever it is. So I really love that this show wanted to be done on the first day of a month. So it's the first day of July 2020, which is the first day of the second half of the year that will probably be known as one of the worst years in humankind. I don't know, at least in the people that live in the world today. And a very, very challenging year. And yet, I wonder what is going to be the gifts and the blessings on the other side of COVID-19. I wonder where this is going to take us. I'm absolutely positive that there are going to be gifts, and there are gifts always. You know, whether you have, lost your job. I can tell you I was working for a company and loved it. I was like at the top of my career. And there was so much shit hitting the fan in that company. I'm telling you, you couldn't duck for getting hit. Like, it just wasn't happening. And I had such intensity that was going on in that job that I actually had a nervous breakdown. And I went off work, and while I was even off work, was mistreated by the organization, which, just pushed things farther and farther and farther. And eventually, I left that company, not on good terms either. And that whole time, it was several months, I was in such anger and angst and sadness and just so many emotions. And so much so that I'll tell you, my friends, it got to a very, very dark place in my life, and thought that, it wasn't worth continuing. And thankfully, that is not a path that I chose to go down. I did continue on, and within the next 4 to 6 months after that all occurred, I started my own business, something that I never imagined I would be able to do, and yet something that I deeply, deeply desired to do, right? Have you ever been in that place where the path took you down what you thought was the worst that turned out to be just absolutely magical on the other side? What if the path that you are on right now in wanting to hit the reset button and wanting to begin again, what if this path has led you here now, because now is the time that you can actually both enjoy, receive, create, and gift to yourself and the world your desires? What if you weren't ready before? What if you weren't ready before? What if now is the time for you? So a new month, the very first day of a new month is a fabulous time to begin again. But the truth is, when it is laid on your heart, when it sparks in your body to begin again, you can begin any time. You don't have to begin on January the 1st. Or a lot of times people begin again on September the 1st, which is in Canada is Labor Day, is the first day of school, right? You don't have to wait until a certain time to begin again. You can begin when you get the knowing that this is no longer working for me and I desire something new. Now that takes us to our second most important step, is knowing what you desire. Do you have a very defined desire? Now, I don't mean defined so much that you've got the color and the size and all of that piece, but do you have a designed desire as to what you want to experience, what you desire to bring into the world, what you want to encompass, the message that you want to bring forth, the impact that you want to make in your world, in your family's world, in the world around you? Do you have that desire clearly laid out? That's step number 2, knowing what you desire, deeply knowing what you desire. Now, here's what's really, really important. knowing what you deeply desire is only half of that step. The second half of that step that's going to actually make the first half come into fruition is, are you in alignment with your desire? Are you in alignment with your desire? Are you in vibrational alignment with your desire? Do you desire, let's just take, I'll use myself as an example. I started the Inspired Choices Network. I started to produce on radio in 2014. I became a leased owner of another platform July of 2014. And then I created the Inspired Choices Network and launched the new platform January the 1st, 2017. Okay? Now, it is the middle of 2020, 3.5 years later. I can tell you the desires that I had in 2017 for this network are still coming to fruition. One of the biggest reasons why they have not yet arrived is because I personally, it's my creation, and I work in conjunction with my creation, but my creation also works in conjunction with me and where I am at. So for me to expand into the different areas where I want to take, where I see very, very clearly that our network can go, I have to clean up my energy. I have to get into alignment with my knowing, with my belief system. I have to get very, very conscious about where I am at with any and all of the creation. If I desire to have, for instance, our network be one of the most well-known platforms on the internet today, I have to look at what's that experience like for me? What pops within me when I think of that? Well, I can tell you right here, right now, while it makes me giggle, it also makes me hesitate. It feels more than I can actually swallow. Like it nearly is like taking my breath away as I'm talking to you right now. I can feel this in my throat. It's like, oh my gosh, right? It's a lot for me personally. Now, I don't create this platform alone. Every host that is here is creating with the network. Every individual that is part of our Inspired Choices Network team, amazing team, by the way, they are all contributing as well. I'm not alone in this, but I'm the leader of my business. I'm also the leader of my life. So if I am not in alignment, true alignment with ease and excitement and joy and 100% open to receiving the bounty of joy and pleasure and prosperity and creation, acknowledgement, just all of that. If I'm not in alignment with that, if there's anything that's stuck in me, it cannot come through. It just can't. So this is a really big key. And, all of there are a lot of amazing people in the world who support individuals in their self-development. Many of the people on our network are coaches of some sort, are consultants, are experts in their field. And some of the most intelligent, potent experts in their field require others to challenge them to continue to expand. I too require people in my world to help me continue to do my personal development work to expand. So wherever you are in your world, whether this is about business, but whether this is about your life, whether this is about your body, whether this is about parenting, whether this is about money, wherever you are that you have any kind of disappointment or regret, know that you have to continue to do your personal development work. You have got to continue to dive deep within you. This is where all of the creation is. This is where the desire is born within you, and this is also where it can stop within you. So you, my friend, wherever you are, you need to continue to humble yourself to the fact that you're not perfect yet. You will never be perfect, and when you are perfect, when everything is just amazingly in alignment, your work here will be complete. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to die tomorrow, so don't get upset, okay? But, my friends, each of us came here to contribute and to expand, and those things are happening simultaneously, whether you realize it or not. Your role in this, your deep role in this is for you to acknowledge that you still have work to do. You still have things to unpack. And when you desire to move beyond where you are right now and begin again, one of the fastest ways to begin again in your life, in your business, in any area, is to have someone work side by side that will not only challenge you, but that will honor you, will support you, and will invite you to the greater individuals that you know in your heart that you can be. This is not about judgment. This is about desire. So let me ask you, are you willing to humble yourself enough to do the personal development work required to get you to your desires? Are you willing to do the work? And sometimes it is painful as fuck. Trust me, I am well aware of that fact. But the really cool thing is you were built for this, my friend. You were built for this, and you can and will conquer when you are willing to get vulnerable, acknowledging where you are, acknowledging your desires are not fully met, and being willing to stretch those personal development muscles. This is so important. And oh my gosh, the more you do this, the more you're willing to continue to look at this and look at this without anger or upset at yourself, but just keep looking at it and unpacking it, you will move faster and faster and faster. It's absolutely mind-blowing how quickly things can begin to change as you continue to lean into this. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that question. Are you willing to do the personal development work that will get you to your desires? I want you to ask yourself, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to do? Keep that in your mind while we go for our second break. You're listening to the Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network. I'm Christine McIver, and I'll be here right after this break. Stay tuned.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with holographist coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
you ready to have pleasure with your business? Yes, I said pleasure with your business. The Pleasure of Business a la carte will surprise you with topics like meet yourself in the boardroom, money, services, and you. Expand your visibility. The pleasure of communication. The pleasure of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Christine McIver has so much pleasure with business and loves teaching all things business. Beginning a new business? Desiring to expand a current business? Or looking to resurrect a business that has been dormant? This program will get you fired up and bring more pleasure than you have ever imagined. Exhausted with your excuses for not creating a phenomenal business? Join now for all the pleasure with business. Pleasure of Business a la carte gives you total choice for what you desire and what your business requires. That's 24 weeks of different topics to choose from with weekly calls, audio and video recordings, and PDFs. This class will have you dive right in and use tools to create the business that has been speaking to you. Go to inspiredchoices.ca for full details or join the Facebook page, Pleasure of Business a la carte. Now is the time for you and your business.
This is Inspired Choices Radio Show with holographist coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. I'm so glad you're sticking around. So tonight we're talking about beginning again. Oh my gosh. You know, it doesn't matter what age you are. You know, I've heard so many people, I'm the youngest in my family, and I've heard many people in my family that are older than me talking about, you know, well, I'm too old to do this or I'm too old to do that. You know, I can remember, this is so funny. I can remember that when my son, who is now going to be 35, which is just wrong. Let me just tell you, it's just wrong. But I can remember when he was just a year old, and I was a young woman. I was probably 25 years old, and I can remember my sister suggesting that I go back to school. And I remember saying, no, it's too late for me to go back to school. Can you imagine? Can you imagine where that crazy thought got in my mind? I can remember so clearly. I actually wrote a chapter in a book, and if you would love this chapter, I wrote this chapter called Old Maid Be Damned. If you would like it in the written word or in audio, send me an email. I would be happy to send it to you. But I can remember at the age of 19 having this heavy sadness in my world. And it was the sadness and the regret was that I was too old. I hadn't had a long-term relationship. We weren't engaged, about to be married. There was no plans in my future. And I thought I was too old to actually have that in my life. It's crazy. The thoughts that we have, the beliefs that get implanted through stupid ass shit of people we listen to or, society or commercials or whatever, somebody saying something, it triggers something in us. It's absolutely crazy when we start to really look at these belief systems that bring us these thoughts. If you hear yourself ever say, it's too late, please turn around and look back and go, wait a minute, who the hell said that? Because that is absolutely a lie. It is never, ever, ever too late for you to begin again. And that is what is so important for you to get, that you didn't come here for kind of jump on the bandwagon and get to your destination instantaneously. This is a process. This is a process that you are doing you while you're getting there, all right? And if you can acknowledge that as you continue to develop, you can begin again. You can start your business. You can revive your business again at any time. The past is in the past. Trust me, people are not looking at your past the way you look at your past. Everybody's trying to keep track of their own damn stuff, and they're not paying attention to other people. And if they actually say something to you, you can say, yeah, well, I'm beginning again. I'm hitting the reset button. I'm choosing forward. I'm choosing beyond this. You are not the same person you were pre-COVID, 100% guaranteed. You are not the same person you were pre-COVID. Neither was your life the same. Neither is your business the same. This is actually one of the most ideal times. And if you need an excuse, this is a great one you can use to say, okay, because of COVID, I'm hitting the reset button. Do whatever you need to do, my friends. But please know that whatever is on your heart, okay, you can choose it again. Here's the next step that I really want you to be open to receiving in beginning again. Ask yourself this question. If I was looking into a mirror of my life, what would I see? If I was looking into a mirror of my life, what would I see? Why do I ask you to ask that question? Because if you can look into a mirror, if you can look in and say, you know what, I've got some anger issues. I can see that in that mirror. I've got some anger issues. I need to deal with that. Or if you can look into that mirror and you can say, you know what, I've been playing the pity party for far too long. I can see that. I've been playing the victim. That doesn't really work. If you can look in that mirror and say, I'm looking to blame everyone else. I blame everybody else. I don't take responsibility and do my deep dive work. Maybe you stepped your toes into doing some personal development and it was painful. Right? Maybe it was painful. Guess what? Sometimes you got to go through some of this heavy pain to get to the other side. Yes, as my wonderful producer Rhonda says. So basically, be absolutely honest with ourselves. Yes, and be vulnerable with ourselves, Rhonda. This is so important. Be willing to go, wow, isn't that interesting that that's who I've been choosing to be? Wow, isn't that interesting that do this with absolute judgment-free eyes. If you could take one day and do this work, just one day, and you could sit down and look at what you have been choosing and what you have been creating that you absolutely know that you won't acknowledge ever to anyone, including yourself. But if you would take this one day and drop all the walls, all the pretense, just be so 100% vulnerable with yourself and acknowledge, I stay up too late. I can't get up in the morning, and I'm miserable when I'm starting my job. Each day I'm miserable. I'm miserable with my family. Or, you know what? I'm trying to self-soothe. I don't like my life, so I'm taking money and I'm spending it too much, and it's putting me into chaos. I keep talking about wanting more money, but I'm not willing to do the work. I'm overweight. I don't like the way that my body feels. I want to lose weight. I'm tired of feeling fat. I'm tired of feeling fat. Will you acknowledge that when nobody's looking, you're putting things into your body or laying around and not moving your body, allowing your body to move what's not working? Are you willing to acknowledge this? Take one day and be absolutely 100% honest and vulnerable with yourself, with your business, with your relationships, most importantly, your relationship with yourself. And as you begin to Acknowledge these things. All right? These heavy burdens, you will start to lay them down. You will start to lay them down and then wrap back around to number 2. Wrap back around to number 2 and look at number 2. Okay, now that I've acknowledged what I have been choosing, what I have been avoiding or creating, where I haven't been walking the talk to create my desires, now I can begin again with my desires. Are you willing, my friends, to try something new? Are you willing to allow yourself to be in that space of self-discovery, no matter what your age, no matter where you are in creation? Are you willing to be in this deep space of self-discovery so that you will not meet the end of your life with regret and sorrow? You know what, my friends? We have so many massive capacities of possibilities and creation and joy and pleasure and abundance. We have so many, many, many possibilities, but we use excuses after excuses after excuses. We allow these things to get so solid that it takes some huge life-changing experience sometimes to wake us up, and other times we're just so damn stubborn, we won't. Tell me something. Is your stubbornness more valuable to you than your desires? Are you willing to die with your stubbornness being the most important thing, that you stood by your word, than you supported your desires? Great comment. Rhonda says, truth-telling will lead you to the beliefs that are holding everything in its place. Change the beliefs and the desires can then be realized. Exactly. Getting vulnerable with yourself at first can be a little difficult. I've recently had some of those times in my life because I'm ready to take another big step in my journey. I'm hitting the reset button on different areas in my life and in my business. So that requires me to do my work. And it can get kind of shitty and messy up in this space, all right? But the gifts on the other side, the feeling of freedom when you are willing to unpack all of this intensity, the freedom on the other side where you can really own what you desire and you can really make the choices to step forward. When we're not willing to look at the blocks, when we're not willing to do the heavy work, we're always looking outside of ourselves for where's the solution? There's lots of solutions in the world, but if this is something that you've done on a regular basis where you felt blocked and you keep looking outside for a solution, you keep looking for where the switch is outside of you, and it's not been changing it to the degree that you desire it to change, that is a big red flag that, my friend, the work's inside. The joy's inside. The desires are inside. The inspiration, the spirit within you that is trying to come forth is all inside and all there waiting for you to come and sit a while. Come and listen to you. You are here. You came here, my friend. You chose to come here in your embodiment to create the magic within you in human form on planet Earth. You are a gift that the world requires and desires. And so do you require and desire your gift. But you have to do it. You're the one that has to dig deep. You're the one that has to do this work to really bring forth what you know is absolutely 100% possible. I'll never forget Dr. Wayne Dyer saying, don't let the song go unsung. In other words, don't die with the song still in you. Don't die with regret on your heart. Beginning again is not a huge process. It's not. It can be scary initially, but beginning to acknowledge where you are, what you've created, and what you desire to create can start to unlock it faster and faster and faster and faster. You're going to have to do things differently if you want to create something different. You're going to have to be willing to fall down. You're going to have to be willing to mess up. You're going to have to be willing to ask for help. How many people get so damn stubborn in their life that they won't ask for help? They get so, we get so locked in our ways that we won't be flexible. Here's something that I've learned about myself. When I'm asked a question, would I do something a certain way, one way or the other? And I'm like, no, no. And I've decided that this was the right way. And my team members remind me lovingly when I feel that intensity of no, or I've got the right answer, when I feel that intensity, that's a big signal for me to go, okay, what's with the intensity? Because creation is ever happening, right? But if we try to stop creation, right, we've got to use a lot of force, a lot of intensity to stop it. So when that comes up, it now is a signal to me like, okay, what is that? All right, let me look at this. And sometimes it might take me weeks or months to unpack it. Sometimes I maybe don't want to look at it. But the really cool thing is when you begin to say, you know what, I'm going to do my work. I'm going to do what it takes to get to my desires. When you speak that into your own heart, you'll do the work. It may come a little slower, but know that you will do the work. When you make that vow to yourself, that you're going to create that joy and that pleasure and that you'll find a way and the universe will find its way to you. Remember, the universe always, always has your back, no matter what. But the big question is, do you have your back? Are you willing to look at where you are at with what you have created and maybe what has to change? You may not always have the answers on how to begin again. But when you start to dig into what's not working and where your desire's at, it's really interesting how things start to fill in for you, how the pieces start to come together. Know that if you have a desire, if you have a thought and a desire, it is absolutely 100% possible for that to come through. But the gap between where you are and where you desire to be is you. Is you. Are you willing to look at you and where you are today and what you've been choosing that's created where you are today? With no judgment. Judgment is just going to slow you down and stop you up again, okay? This is not about using judgment, my friends. This is about using your awareness and vulnerability so that you can create forward. My friends, I wish you the absolute best. If you're struggling with this, please let me know. Email me. Would love to have a conversation with you about this. Remember, you can always make another choice. Until next week, my friends.
Thank you for
Bye
choosing
for
to
now.
listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you